And hello, everybody. Oops, there I am. It's No Soundbites Allowed, and I'm your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm with you today. It's a special event. Joe Biden is about to speak in about half an hour. He's going to be speaking to the nation. We expect him to be speaking about 35 to 40 minutes. And what is he going to talk about? His claim is that he's going to be speaking about uh, democracy. That's what he said on C SPAN. And we're going to see this live with it. And we're going to be talking with you about his comments. But we don't believe he's going to be talking about democracy. He's going to be talking about an election. He's going to be making a pitch to all of the constituents out there. He's going to try and rally Democrats and to convince them that they should come out and vote because his party has been doing that badly. They have failed that much to the American people, whether it's on the economy, whether it's on international policy, you name the subject, he's doing bad. And I think that's why we're going to see this, because traditionally, right after September 1st is the start of the election season for any given year. Happens every year, that's always the case. And that's what we think this is about. This is the election season kicking off, and he wants to get out there first before all the ads come out from the Republicans, and he wants to get ahead of the negative publicity that's going to be hitting him. Now, we're here today. We're happy to hear your comments and to speak with you about all of this and to hear what you have to say about it. And we will be taking comments from everybody, if we can, throughout the entirety of this. We want to say to you that you can reach out to us on YouTube, Facebook. We may not have D Live or Twitter. We'll do what we can. One of the questions we want to ask, both in this first half hour before Biden starts to speak and then during it, we want you to ask a question. Do you think Joe Biden will speak about the Americans that were abandoned in Afghanistan? In this speech today, when he wants to talk about democracy and claim once again that he's unifying America, do you think he's going to mention the fact that 1 year ago to this day, he lied to the American people? He told you that only 98 Americans were remaining in Afghanistan and that the American government would do everything it could to get them home. 800 American citizens have been returned back to America since that time. There are thousands that remain in Afghanistan to this day. He stopped talking about it in January, but that didn't mean the people were gone. There are still thousands of Americans in Afghanistan at this moment. There are at roughly about 10,000 Americans in the Ukraine. And last week, he just announced to the State Department that they have to figure out their own way home. Do you think he's going to mention that? Do you think he's going to tell you how many Americans that the Biden-Harris administration have left abandoned around the world to fend for themselves? Now, I'm not just talking about Ms. Griner. No, we're talking about more people than just the basketball player. We're talking about 200 Americans at least in China, as well as thousands, 10,000 or more, possibly 20,000 in the Ukraine. We're talking about thousands. It's estimated 8,000 Americans in Afghanistan right this second. Do you think Joe Biden's going to be talking about the economy? He's going to mention the recession. Now, I know he's mentioned already, it's not a recession. We changed the definition. But it is a recession, not only in the United States, but around the world. The Bank of England has already admitted that England, the United Kingdom, is going into a recession, that they're going to have 18% inflation. The EU recognizes they're in a recession. The United States is the only place that's not saying and admitting the financial truth that you and I recognize every time we go to a store. You see that you're paying 25, 35, maybe 45% more depending on what you're buying. That is, if you can find it in the stores, because the stores are about 15% of the shelves are empty. across this country, sometimes more. And it's expected to get worse because we are approaching a food crisis that's recognized around the world. That has already toppled the government of Sri Lanka. It is causing riots in Panama, Eritrea, most of Africa. It is getting bad, and it's going to hit America. It won't be as bad as some of these other countries, but it will happen. So throughout this, we want to hear what you have to say about some of these things. And I know that Joe Biden is going to be talking about some of these major issues. Now, in the time we have before he starts speaking, we're going to address some of the issues that Joe Biden's going to be talking about. How about this? We know that inflation, which has been at 9%, again, Joe Biden said, he lied to American people, said there was zero inflation last month. That was a lie. He meant to say, or he should have said, that there was zero increase in inflation, that it stayed at the same level. Not that it went down, not that it disappeared. It just didn't keep going up that month. We expected to go higher this month and up until 2024. Depending on the economists you speak to, we spoke to economist Richard Vedder, and he confirmed he believes that the next 18 months will be a recession for the United States with inflation somewhere around 15%. That's that's the official rate. Imagine how much food's going to cost you and your family throughout this time period. And the answer that we are hearing from Democrats across this country, and I think that you're going to hear this from Joe Biden tonight, is he's going to mention, hey, the great idea is let's send out a check. We're going to pay you money, like Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania, who decided that he wants to pay out $2,000 to American citizens. Now, some states are doing as much as $3,200. Some others are doing $1,000. But in Pennsylvania, they're hitting the middle ground, and they're saying they're going to pay their citizens $2,000 because of inflation. You know why that's stupid? One of the main reasons why inflation is as high as it is, why we are in a recession, is because we keep printing money. And unlike Andrew Yang, unlike Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, unlike many Democrats who believe, well, we can just print money forever, no one's ever going to call us out on that, it won't have any impact. The reality is it creates inflation. And that's why we're where we are. $6 billion in spending, $54 billion sent outside the United States to the Ukraine. This is adding to the inflation. And now we have governors in Alaska, in Pennsylvania, in California that are sending out checks to increase the inflation even more. This is a bad idea. And I think Joe Biden is going to say the same thing because free money means votes. And that's why he's going to do it. That's the same reason why he's going to talk about the college debt that he just eliminated. Something that he does not have a constitutional right to do. It's something that Nancy Pelosi in December of 2021 said he can't do that. It's illegal and it's unconstitutional. And yet Joe Biden did it anyway because Democrats need votes in the midterm elections. And that's a cheap, easy way to do it. Mind you, it's going to cost $600 billion for people who never went to college or who already paid off their loans. If you're like me, I paid off my federal student loans, and now I have to pay for another federal student loan that I never went to college for? Why do I have to pay for that? What bill is the federal government coming? Are they going to pay my electric bill? Are they going to pay for my mortgage? How about your mortgage or your rent? Why are we doing this? Because it's an election scheme. And we've already heard the BBC mention that. What else could Joe Biden be talking about today? I can tell you something that he won't mention. He won't be bringing up the fact that Raphael Warnock and Stacey Abrams, in the last year, in 1 year, they doubled their income. And it's not because he gets paid $175,000 for being a senator. How is it that individuals go into Congress and they get to be rich. They become the top 1% of our nation. What's happening here? How does this not seem like it is absolutely corrupt? When you see individuals go into Congress saying they're here to help the average person and they double their net worth, they double their income. What is going on? How is that not corrupt? How are you making money beyond just your job and you're suddenly just raking in money left and right? And you know what? I don't think Joe Biden's going to mention that corruption in Georgia. He's not going to mention this, what seems like a scheme for money. How about this? Do you think that we're going to hear about the illegal aliens that are walking across our southern border? Do you think Joe Biden's going to mention that at all? Or the fact that Kamala Harris, who in February 2021, was assigned the southern border, she was supposed to fix this problem. She didn't fix it. It's remained bad. That the Biden-Harris administration, their policies have increased the number of people entering the United States. In his watch, 5 million illegal aliens have entered America. They are a burden on our nation, so much so that when just 4,000 of those illegal aliens were sent to Washington, D.C., and Mayor Bowser of Washington, D.C. started praying. She started complaining, saying, stop sending the illegal aliens. We can't handle them. Well, in Texas, they can't handle them either, and they get 250,000 of these illegal aliens every month because of the Biden-Harris policies and the fact that Kamala Harris has done nothing about this, that Joe Biden has done nothing about this. And the answer that we get from the press secretary of the United States is that it doesn't exist. It's not real. Let's take a look at this.
Walks into Texas or Arizona unvaccinated, they're allowed to stay. Why?
But that's not how it works. Like we actually, no.
I know that that's not what you guys want to happen, but that is what is happening.
But that's not, it's not like somebody walks over. It's not like somebody walks over.
It's not like somebody walks over.
We saw group after group after group walking on the road behind us after they crossed illegally into the United States. They opened up those gates and they let every single one of those migrants through. This was a single massive group of about 150 illegal immigrants that crossed in the middle of broad daylight. An absolutely enormous single group of migrants crossing illegally into Eagle Pass in broad daylight right in front of our cameras. We are talking hundreds upon hundreds of people.
The border is secure. We are working to make the border more secure.
It's not like somebody walks over.
So we know for a fact that the Biden-Harris administration, they know the truth. They know they're lying to the American people, that they're trying to downplay this. But do you think that Joe Biden is actually going to mention this when he speaks to the public in about 15 minutes? Do you think he's going to bring up the fact that everything he has done to protect our southern border, which means protecting our national security on top of everything else, to make Americans safe, do you think he's going to bring that up? I don't think he will. And I don't think he will because he knows that there have been 6 terrorists that have been arrested that plots to assassinate presidents and other individuals, John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, that there are individuals coming through our southern border trying to kill American citizens and our government. And that's because the border is wide open, because Joe Biden wants it to be open, because the progressive ideology says there are no borders. And when you have no borders, terrorists walk right on through. That's terrifying, but it's true. And just as you saw from multiple different news media sources, the White House is telling you, don't believe your lying eyes. No, it's perfectly okay. The border is, it's all secure. Nobody's entering America walking across the border. They're lying to you again. That's what Joe Biden's going to be doing tonight, I believe, and that's what I predict. he is going to lie to you about the southern border. He's going to lie to you about the economy and the recession. He's going to lie to you about Americans that are overseas and have been abandoned by the Biden-Harris administration. I am absolutely sure of that. I think one of the other big things that Joe Biden is going to be lying about is race relations. Now, not a lot of people are talking about that, but let's be very, very clear here. And I will show you the evidence. And by the way, at the end of the show, I'll be adding all the links so you can see this information for yourself. But according to Gallup News themselves, in a Gallup poll, here's something you probably haven't heard. The Biden-Harris administration is actually doing horribly about, remember, they're supposed to unify America. That's what he ran on in 2020. They said they were going to unify America. Race relations between whites and blacks in America under Joe Biden are worse than under President Trump. It's something that a lot of people you probably haven't heard this. I'm sure there's many people who are Democrats or progressives that are watching the program right now. They don't realize, yeah, it's worse now than under President Trump, the guy that the progressive left have been trying to demonize and tell us is a complete racist and was destroying America, and race relations are worse under the uniter of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's not enough to say that they have the lowest level of relations under their administration. It gets worse. How much? One of the questions asked and tracked by Gallup News is, how much do you personally worry about race relations? A question they asked the nation. And they've been asking this since 2001. So here is what the answer is in 2022, March 2022. The answer is 41% of people asked said that they worry about race relations. 41%. 29% say they're worried about it a fair amount. Looking at, and I'm just going at the earliest date under the, let's go by the Trump administration. So you see at the peak of the Trump administration in March of 2017, when we saw Trump get in at the height of everyone telling us that he was going to be a racist and America was going to become part of the Ku Klux Klan. What happened? 42% said they were worried. And immediately after that, the numbers dropped under the Trump administration. And what we saw is when President Trump left, we were at 31% of people worried about this. It's now up 41%. People are more worried about it today than under the Trump administration overall. That's how Biden is doing right now. This is terrifying. He's worse than you have ever imagined. There's several different ways to look at this. I'll show you another thing from Gallup. White and black people, would you say that relations between white and black people are very good, somewhat bad, or very bad? Looking at the Biden administration, we see that number is at 8% for very good and 34% for somewhat good. Under the Trump administration, we see that in 2018, the answer was 10% thought that relations were very good. 41% thought it was somewhat good. The numbers were higher nationally under the Trump administration than they are under the Biden administration. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because, very simply, what are we going to hear tonight? As Joe Biden is saying that he wants to talk about democracy, what do you think he's going to say? Do you think he's going to say that race relations are actually worse now than they were under Trump? Because the data says it is worse. What do you think he's going to say? Or do you think he's going to say the same kind of lie, just like he does about the southern border that no one's walking across? Do you think he's going to tell you that race relations are great, that he's unified the nation, even though the polls do not show that fact. How about this? What about gun violence? Right now, Joe Biden's going to be in Philadelphia. And under the Biden-Harris administration, gun violence in Philadelphia is higher today than it was in 2021 and higher than it was in 2020 or 2019. So he has more gun violence, even as he's passing all these various gun laws, these gun control laws, they are failing. Whether it's a red flag law, the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, you name it, everything he is doing, the ghost gun protocol, it's failed. Gun violence is going up, not down. And it's not just in Pennsylvania. If you look at, there was on July 27th of July 22nd of 2022, the Council on Criminal Justice came out with their report. And what they found is that there is 39% higher crime, gun crime, and homicides in the United States than during 2019. Joe Biden is responsible for an almost 40% increase in gun violence. Do you think that's going to be spoken about tonight? When Joe Biden decides to speak to this nation, and he decides to tell us that we should be voting for Democrats, because that is the point of this conversation tonight. He's going to be talking about voting Democrat. Do you think he's going to mention that crime is up across this nation, especially in all the Democratic cities that are telling you we need reform, the justice system reform, and they're releasing criminals back out onto the streets? In fact, in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman himself is one of the leading proponents. He's running for the Senate, and he's saying that we got to open up the jail cells and let the murderers back out onto the streets, that they should not be held because it's unfair. You know what's unfair? Murder is unfair. But John Fetterman doesn't see it that way. He doesn't quite believe it that way. So that's kind of upsetting. Now, I'm also trying to update this stream, but I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what you think. Do you think that Joe Biden is going to tell you any of the information that I just put together? I just put this information together before this stream to be able to ask you these questions before we listen to Joe Biden together and hear what he has to say. Or do you think Joe Biden's going to lie to the American people and the rest of the news media most likely won't call him out? I'm looking forward to hearing that. By the way, you can call into the program as well as to leave us comments on YouTube and Facebook to let us know what you think about what's going on. And we look forward to hearing your comments. And even after the show, if you watch this afterwards, we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Anything that you have to say about this. Now, I'm trying to get this up to date. Excuse me, as I'm working on the YouTube tags to let people know about this. So bear with me. Oh. We got about 6 minutes before Joe Biden decides he wants to actually start talking. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just updating this so people will be able to see the stream and be able to make some comments. And I'm looking forward to hearing what Joe Biden has to say here in just a few moments. I'm sure he's not going to start on time. They never do. But I think this is going to be really eye-opening and revealing to the American people. I think this is going to be shocking. And I want to hear, when you hear a lie from the Biden-Harris administration, like when he says that the Second Amendment does not let you buy a cannon, which is a lie. That is an absolute lie. It has always allowed you to own a cannon, and Americans do own cannons in 2022. In fact, Americans own tanks in 2022. When he tells you that you're not allowed to own a machine gun, that's a lie. Go to the ATF, just as we have done, and the ATF will tell you that there are 732,000 machine guns owned by American citizens right now. Right now in America. You can own a machine gun. You can own a tank. In fact, you could even own an F-15. Now, is it easy to get a license for that? No, but you can, and the Second Amendment does allow you to do that, and Joe Biden is going to lie to you and say you can't, and that he's going to make you safe by denying you the rights you actually have and ignoring the reality that's out there. Just like he's going to ignore the fact that under the Obama administration that he was part of, right after Sandy Hook, Obama had a study done and found out that gun ownership in America reduces the number of gun violence crimes in America somewhere between 500,000 and 3 million. That's right. 500,000 to 3 million Americans a year are saved because of gun ownership in America. But Joe Biden, he's not going to refer back to that Obama report. No, he's not going to do that. He's instead going to lie to you and say, having no firearm and no police, that's what's going to save you. Because he's just like he did 2 days ago in Pennsylvania when he was campaigning for John Fetterman. He lied to the American people and said, hey, one of the great things is we need to demonize the police. He demonized the police. Yet, we're supposed to have more police officers. He wants to hire social workers, not police officers. Let me ask you, do you think that a social worker will protect you from a crackhead? Do you think a social worker is going to be able to reduce the amount of fentanyl coming into the United States? Because no one else thinks that, not even the criminal. So I think this is going to be very important to talk about. And we got about 2 minutes before we go over to C-SPAN to hear what we're going to hear Joe Biden say. And I just don't think he's going to be honest with American citizens. I don't think he has the capability. I just don't, whatever, he's only capable of sometimes reading off the teleprompter and saying what's already being said there. But I find it interesting, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you, regular American individuals, have to say about these issues, about how this is going to affect everyone. I'm waiting for this to start up. Just so you know, I'm waiting for this to start up. If you do call in, you will be able to see comments as they come in. I will put that on the screen. And if you call in, I will let people know, and we'll be able to have a conversation during this speech. So you can reach out to us. You can hear us, by the way, 607-242-1582 to be able to hear what's going on, to call into the program. So I'm just waiting for this to start up. Oh, where is it? I'm trying to watch live. Waiting. Where is his speech? Let's go. And here we go.
Listen to the Book Notes Plus podcast.
So we're just waiting for this to come on up. And here we are, and C-SPAN is showing us live at Philadelphia at the Independence National History Park. And so we're going to be waiting for the president to start speaking. Again, some of the things that I do not think he's going to mention the Americans in Afghanistan that have been abandoned. I don't think he's going to mention the Americans in the Ukraine who have been abandoned. I don't think that he's going to talk about the crime and how it is up 39% versus 2019. I don't think he's going to talk about the recession. I don't think that he's going to mention anything about race relations or the fact that race relations are worse today than they were under President Trump. I think he's going to lie to the American people, that he's going to give us a spin that is entirely different than the truth. That's what I believe is going to happen. Well, it looks like he's getting ready to come out. Looks like he's actually going to be on time. That's kind of surprising. So, yeah, he's getting ready. He's getting ready. And remember, folks, you can leave your comments too. And I look forward to that. So we're just waiting, and here we go. He's being escorted by Joe Biden. Fair enough. Let's see what's going to happen here, folks. What is Joe Biden going to actually say?
My fellow Americans, please, if you have a seat, take it. I speak to you tonight from sacred ground in America, Independence Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is where America made its declaration of independence to the world more than 2 centuries ago with an idea unique among.
Does he have COVID again?
That in America, we're all created equal. This is where the United States Constitution was written and debated. This is where we set in motion the most extraordinary experiment of self-government the world has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built.
Absolutely.
They're how we became the greatest nation on earth.
And we still are.
They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world.
And we continue to be.
But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault.
That is a lie.
We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise.
Well,
so tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can.
No, you came to
the nation.
Promote. You came to promote
about the
politics.
threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us.
He's here to promote politics.
Use it. We must never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall.
Then why are teachers teaching kids about socialism?
That lit our way through abolition.
Then why is
Civil
BLM?
War,
What about
suffrage,
BLM?
the Great Depression,
They want
world
socialism.
wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just, that is the work of my presidency.
We're in a
A
recession.
mission I believe in with my whole soul.
I don't believe you.
But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves.
You're repeating yourself.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal.
Yeah. BLM.
Donald Trump and the MAGA
Antifa.
Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Make America Great, America
I wanna be
First is
very clear.
extremist.
Very clear up front.
That's extremist. To be America
Not every
First.
Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
Yeah, they are.
Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology.
What's extreme about
know.
America being first?
Because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
Trump isn't
And
in
that
office.
is a threat
He's
to
not
this
running
country.
for anything.
These are hard things. But I'm an American president, not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America.
Then why do you keep
And
dividing
I
us?
believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful.
Notice he didn't mention the
And
unvaccinated
here,
Americans.
in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the
He
will
is
of the
dividing America as he speaks. He's
refuse to
saying
accept
that some
the results of a
Americans
free
are
election.
better than other
they're
Americans.
working
That is
right now,
divisive.
as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards. Backwards.
Why do Democrats always say that Republicans are taking America backwards when the only people who are trying to go back to segregation are progressives? Progressives want safe spaces and segregated spaces. That's not a Republican ideology.
That are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement.
J6.
Not
Really?
as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy.
Oh,
they
please.
look at it as
300,000
patriots.
people who had no weapons.
And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people.
No.
This time,
Oh, God.
they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called
It's an
Trump and
election.
the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy.
They're not a danger to democracy.
But while the threat
No
to
one's
American
tried to take over
democracy
this
is
country.
real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats.
No, we can vote. And
We
we
are
thank
not
God we are.
bystanders in this ongoing attack on.
Of course not. And that's why you're trying to have this speech. Because Republicans are expected to win.
From every background and belief, to reject the extreme MAGA ideology.
Again, what is extreme about America first?
It
Why
within
is that
our
an
power,
extreme
it's in our
ideology?
hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after.
You mean like transforming America?
America must choose to move forward
Which was
or
Obama's.
to move backwards.
That was Obama's
To build
message.
a future or obsess
Transform
about
America.
the past. To be a nation of unity and optimism, or a nation of fear division,
The only
and of
people
darkness.
the only people pushing fear are Democrats. Think about how many injections they've been telling you that you need to have.
They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But
You mean
together,
lies like the mask
together we
mandates
can
that
choose a
masks
different
will make
path.
you better? That
can
they were
choose
going
a
to
better
prevent that?
path.
Remember the
Forward to
pandemic
the
medication
future.
was supposed to prevent you from
A future of
getting
possibility, a
COVID? Do
future
you
to
remember
build
that?
and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people.
No, I don't think you do.
I know your courage.
I doubt that.
I know your hearts.
I doubt that.
And I know our history.
I don't think you speak to American
This
people.
is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it.
Then
This is a
why did
nation that believes in the rule of law.
then why
We do
did you
not
just put out an
repudiate.
executive order on
This
college
is a
loans
nation
that you don't have a
respects
power to
free
do?
and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it.
There are so
And
many
this is a
places where that's
nation
not true.
That rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence.
Yes, you
We
do.
are still an America that
Alexandria
believes in honesty
Ocasio-Cortez.
and decency.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
respect for others.
Nancy Pelosi,
Patriotism, liberty, justice for all,
Maxine
hope,
Waters,
possibility.
the entire squad, they've all promoted violence. He is out of his mind. Yes, you do.
History tells us the blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not.
It's only guaranteed if people vote.
Protect it. Stand up for it. Each and every one of us. That's why tonight I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology.
Wait a minute, what about your vaccine status? Because in December, you didn't have that same point of view. You told people who were unvaccinated that they were a danger and a problem.
Will put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American
We are
democracy.
unified in that. That's why
We, the
Democrats are
people.
going to lose in the election.
Anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail.
Yeah, BLM and Antifa for two of them.
More and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool. in this
Talk to
country.
Maxine Waters. Again, talk to
It's not.
Maxine Waters about that.
It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Except if you're a BLM, Antifa, progressive, Maxine Waters, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Nancy Pelosi have all advocated for that.
We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives
No
from
one
their
should get-
own fellow citizens.
No one should get threats.
On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets.
Riding in the streets. What about the autonomous zones in Austin, in Portland, in Seattle, across this nation? There's your violence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American.
There
They're
is no
incompatible.
insurrection.
We can't allow
That is a
violence to be
lie.
normalized in this country. It's wrong.
No, there has never
We
been
have to
an
reject
insurrection.
political violence
No one
with all
came
the moral
to the.
clarity and conviction this
God.
nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined. For that,
You mean like with mail-in votes?
chaos. Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics,
No,
in
you don't.
disagreement and debate and dissent.
No, you don't.
We're a big...
That's why the FBI told all of social media not to publish anything about the Hunter Biden laptop until years, if not months later.
Public. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive.
And yet, that's why many states have said that they wanted to do audits on the election. And when they have, there have been irregularities that have been found because we need fair elections and we're not getting them.
They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental.
Wait a minute, you mean like the 4 years that we heard
American
Democrats say that
democracy
it
only
isn't
works
their president and it isn't their
only
nation
if we
under
choose
Trump?
to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences.
Did you forget that they
I will
also
not stand by and
put in
watch.
that
I will
institution
not
behind you the Second
the will of the
Amendment
American
that you're
people
trying to
be
get rid
overturned
of?
by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost.
Tell that to every progressive and Democrat from 2016 to 2020.
The most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look,
There is no one in America, no American
as
citizen
your
that is
president, I will
denied a
defend our
vote.
democracy with every
Although
fiber of my being, and I'm
we are diluting those votes by allowing illegal aliens to vote, as has happened in California and in New York State.
Throughout our history, America's often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like you're hearing that bullhorn. I believe we can and must do that again.
That's funny that he's
And we
getting
are.
protested.
MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And today, America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We
That
have
is a
more to
lie.
go.
We're in a recession. He's crippled our economy.
America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
And
we've
it
now-
spent money not on fixing our roads and bridges, but it's fixing our schools, indoctrinating our children.
Railroads.
You're not building roads. You're spending the
I
money
believe we
on
can make
indoctrination.
America safer. So we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton.
Crime in America is up 40%. 40% versus 2019. It is up versus 2021 and 2020. He is lying.
More affordable. So we passed the most significant health care reform since President Obama signed the Affordable Care Act.
Healthcare costs are up. It is unaffordable for most Americans.
And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever.
America was already the most climate efficient nation in the world long before this ever happened.
Tell us nothing can get done. But they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity.
Unless we have bad presidents and bad elected officials like yourself.
But we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, progress does come.
Yeah, when we get rid of bad politicians like Joe Biden.
Look, I know the last few years have been tough.
The last
But
year has
today,
been.
COVID no longer controls our lives.
That's
more
only because
Americans
people
are
don't pay
working than
attention
ever.
anymore.
Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and the compensation.
His numbers are not accurate on this
American
stuff.
manufacturers come alive across the heartland. And the future.
No, it hasn't. America is still, we are a service economy, not a
No matter
manufacturing
what the
economy.
white supremacists and the extremists say.
I'm not a white
I made a bet on
supremacist.
you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light.
Wow, talk about just lumping everything together under one thing. White people are evil. If you don't agree with Democrats, you ain't black and you're evil.
Your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are.
I think you're optimistic about the check you're getting from China.
We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think.
You've been promising this since the day you got elected, and none of it has happened. None of it.
Needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars.
You're the only ones who are having a. Your diversity mandates are the culture war, are the race relation war, and it's failing. More people are upset about race relations today than under Trump.
Like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind.
Except the
I ran
people
for
in
president because
Afghanistan.
I believe we're in a battle for the soul of
Except
this nation.
Americans in Afghanistan
believe that
and
to
the
be
Ukraine,
true.
they've been left behind.
I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God.
Unless they're
All are entitled to be
unvaccinated.
treated with decency, dignity, and respect. That all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence.
Unless they're black people who vote against Biden, and then they're not black.
Must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible.
By the way, we're a republic, not a democracy. He does remember that, right?
And it's up to us. Democracy begins.
Uh-oh.
What makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God. That all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. That all deserve democracy.
Oh, there we go.
The willingness to see each
Sorry,
other
skipped.
not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy.
I don't know
But
that they're being
history and common
outrageous. You can still be heard. Not like the censorship we
Good
see on
manners
social
is
media.
nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We've
We're
never
a
fully
republic,
realized the
not a
aspirations of our
democracy.
founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, and it beats in the hearts of the people
No, the
of this country.
Constitution is an
It
idea.
beats in all our
America
hearts.
is a
It
reality.
unites America.
It is the realization of that idea.
The idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are.
And
That's what we
gender
stand
identity
for.
politics,
That's what we
intersectionality, critical race theory,
That's
they're
what
all
we're doing.
fighting against that.
Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning.
That's kind of terrifying, considering the state of where he has left everything so far.
Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole.
How can we be
And
noble
this
and
work
whole if
is
we've
the work of
abandoned
democracy.
Americans?
The work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote.
That's what this is about. This is an election
And
rally.
if we do our duty,
This is about getting people
we
to
do
vote
our
Democrat.
duty
This is an
in
election
2022
rally.
beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We
He's
heeded
not
our
preserving democracy with his
We heeded
violations
not our
of
worst instincts, but
executive
our better
orders.
angels. We proved that for all its imperfection, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be, and that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy, that for the next 200 years,
Our democracy is
we'll
safe.
have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, the United States of America.
Then why are you dividing people in America?
Protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
We're not a democracy. We are a republic. Is that all he had to say? Is that it? Really? Really? Wow. That's even shorter than I thought it would be. That was incredibly shorter than I thought it would be. Oh, this is crazy. So, oh my God, there's so much. I'm gonna get right into it in a second, folks. Oh, go ahead, just go. Just go. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. So he didn't mention anything about any Americans that have been abandoned in Afghanistan, exactly as we expected. He tried to very generally gloss over. Well, actually, let me start at the beginning. He's talking about democracy. America isn't a democracy. America is a constitutional republic. That's the fact. But he doesn't want to talk about that fact. So he's trying to tell people that we're a democracy. We're not. We have democratic voting, totally different thing. But let's move forward from there. So he doesn't want to talk about Afghanistan. This is the anniversary, 1 year anniversary. And he had nothing to say about the Americans that were abandoned in Afghanistan. He had nothing to say about that. It's been 1 year. He has nothing to say about the fact that he created the first terrorist nation in the world. That's what we have in Afghanistan today, that he funded and created the first terrorist army with our weapons and our money. And he has nothing to say about that. He had nothing to say about our southern border and the fact that our southern border is wide open, that we have 5 million people illegally entering our nation and causing problems throughout many, many, many states. He had nothing to say about that. He said, just as we expected, he said he's uniting America, except no one feels more united at this time. In fact, as we showed you in the polls coming out of Gallup, everyone in America feels like race relations are worse today than they were under Trump. Let me again show you. They are worse today. People have less belief in race relations and less confidence in the government than before Biden was in office. So that's not flying with anyone. And remember, he's trying to say it's evil for MAGA Republicans. Wait a minute. Let's remember something here. MAGA means make America great again. What's wrong with that? Who opposes making America great again? Isn't that something that every American, that everyone wants to do? I've said this many, many times in many formats, in roundtables and live streams and programs. Who doesn't want America to be great? Who doesn't want us to focus on America first? Not the WHO, not the UN, not the EU. Focusing on America first, our domestic policies and issues primarily. That's what millions of Americans want. Tens of millions of Americans want. And he's trying to tell us that that's un-American, that that's a bad thing. He's telling us that he wants to unite America. There are 70 million people who believe in an America first, make America great again policy. And he is throwing them out with the bathwater. He's kind of like what we see with disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo and the appointed Governor Kathy Hochul, who replaced him, saying that if you are a Republican, a conservative, get out of New York State. What does Biden want us to do? He wants us to leave America because we don't believe in the same idea that he does? This is the same man that said to all people who are black, if you don't vote for him, you're not black. That doesn't sound very uniting to me. That sounds divisive. This is a guy who believes in check boxes, not people. He's more worried about making sure that he has the right people, the right check boxes crossed, kind of like with his press secretary, Jean-Pierre. That's right, Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre, who we know, she's hired because she's black and a lesbian. That's what he's worried about, the check boxes. He's not worried about actually having someone who's effective and can do the job properly. Same thing with Ketanji Brown Jackson. My God, this was insulting. This was an election rally, a national election rally. That's it. And it was dishonest at that. At least he could have said that that's what he was actually trying to do. He didn't mention anything about illegal immigration. He didn't talk about Americans being abandoned. He didn't talk about the recession that is ongoing. He tried to convince you yet again that the economy is doing fantastic. Do you believe that? Is there anyone in America right now who believes that the economy is doing well? We are in a recession. You go to the store right now, and there is nothing that you can buy in any store in America that isn't 25% higher or more than just a year ago. Definitely more than 2 years ago. And yet he wants to tell us the economy is doing fantastic. There's absolutely no problem. And if you think there's a problem, then you are a problem. You are a Republican, and you're MAGA, and you're American first. This is insulting. How can you say you're going to unite America and then you're going to classify tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Americans and say that they are, I don't know, what he basically tried to lock us all as a group of terrorists? That's insane. This was insulting to every single American. It was full on pure political partisanship. It was pure political agenda. Nothing more than that. It was pushing a progressive ideology. Absolutely. It wasn't actually accurate. He's talking about crime, that he's somehow been helping America with his Ghost Gun Initiative and the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act and red flag laws, where they're putting literally a dollar sign on every single American to be able to push that. That's not reality. Again, as I've shown you the documentation, hi hot chicks, I'm going to get to you in 1 second. As I showed you early, before he started speaking, we know for a fact that crime is up 39% in America. 39%. So I don't understand where he thinks there's no way he can make any of that make sense. Hot chicks, I don't know if you saw what the president was saying, but he just lied to the American people. He's talking about, well, we have to denounce those people calling for violence. I didn't hear him mention Maxine Waters. I didn't hear him mention Nancy Pelosi or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the three people that I am very familiar who have literally said, whether it's in Minneapolis or New York, that they have said that there should be violence. I don't know, maybe did you hear that? But who's actually calling for violence? Where is anyone in the Republican Party, conservatives, libertarians that are calling for violence? They're not there. They don't exist. This is a dream. This is propaganda. My God, this was the biggest propaganda speech. And, well, other than some speeches by President Obama, it's right on up there. Yeah, I think he was trying to start trouble. I agree with you, Hot Chicks, because it sounded so divisive, so authoritarian. I'm listening to him, and he's trying to couch it in this idea that, oh, this is all in the Constitution. This is what our founding fathers wanted. Meanwhile, he's ignoring the things that they actually said and did, like the Second Amendment. He believes in he wants a gun ban, H.R. 1808. He wants to ban rifles. He wants to take away the ability of American citizens to defend themselves. Guess what? That's part of what our founding fathers actually decided. That was what they wrote. That's the Constitution. The very document that he says, this is what it's all about. And yet he wants to ignore parts of it that don't go along with his progressive agenda. And that's kind of insulting. My God, I hope the rest of the major media actually call him out, and yet we know for a fact that they won't. We know that 55% of journalists today believe that they can be biased and not present a fair and honest point of view. Literally, we went through 3 or 4 different issues before we even got to this little election rally. And we told you what he wouldn't say and what he probably would say. And sadly, he lived up to our expectations, and they were dirt poor, dirt low. It's really insulting. It's very upsetting. I'm listening to this man speak, and over again, he misled the American people. Look, I understand that elected officials show up to other elected officials in their party to try and get them an election boost. Happens all the time. In fact, 2 days ago, that's exactly what he did. That's why he was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, why he's in Pennsylvania today. But it's dishonest that he's in Pennsylvania right now, and he didn't even want to mention the fact to talk about the crime in Pennsylvania or the fact that homicides are up in Pennsylvania. I mean, just look at the numbers. This is coming from the Office of the Comptroller out of Pennsylvania, out of Philadelphia itself, and they're up. He doesn't even want to be honest enough to talk about the reality that exists that American citizens are going through. I don't understand it. Well, no, I do understand it. This was about an election. At the end of the day, folks, this was meant to convince Democrats and progressives to show up and to vote, even though every single major policy that the Biden-Harris administration has promoted has failed. There is less unity in this nation, not because of Donald Trump, because his policies have failed, because he has tried to divide the nation by pushing diversity quotas, by pushing the vaccine, whether you're vaccinated or not, by pushing mandates. He has divided this nation. Joe Biden did that. No one else. He's the guy in the White House. He did that. He has caused division in this nation because of illegal immigration that he continues to do nothing about and say nothing about. He divides the nation when we leave Americans around the world to fend for themselves in the most dangerous situations that could possibly happen. He divided America like that. That's what Joe Biden is doing. Our economy, again, he lied about our economy. Not just that we're in a recession right now, but what caused this recession? Wanton, wasteful spending that didn't help anyone. He wants to talk about infrastructure. We spent $100 billion on fixing bridges and $400 billion on indoctrinating children in kindergarten. That's where he's spending the money. He's wasting money. And that's why inflation is up. You don't have to believe me. Ask any economist. I've talked to Richard Vedder. I've talked to other economists. That's the reason, one of the key reasons why. Another reason why is because energy is up. And that's not just because of Russia. That's because he has been killing oil and gas and coal, just like Obama promised to do. That's exactly what he's doing. Do you remember that they were going to necessarily skyrocket the cost of energy? They're doing it. It's happening right now. Energy costs are up 70%. You are feeling this because that's what he decided to do. He promised in 2020 that he would kill the oil and gas and coal company. He told us he was going to destroy that industry, and that increased inflation. Then he decided to spend money like crazy, and that increased inflation. And now he's continuing to do that even more. And he's telling you, don't believe your eyes, don't believe your pocketbook, don't believe the violence that you see when you walk out your door or on TV. Don't believe any of that. And instead, just trust the old guy who can't speak well. Trust him, not yourself, not your own life, because he's going to control your life better than you can. I find that to be incredibly insulting. I don't know, hot chicks. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's insanely upsetting. And I'm just giving my live reaction here. I mean, usually I have way more sources and I can go into greater detail. I'm just caught up in the emotion right now that I've had Joe Biden try and tell me that I am a white nationalist and that I am not American and I'm not promoting America. That is insulting and insane and divisive, and no wonder people do not trust the government right now. And I can't help. I mean, this is my gut reaction here, hot chicks. And I don't think most people would think I'm wrong in the things I'm pointing out. And it's so obvious that what he is doing is only to try and get votes, because he knows that over the weekend, next week, on Monday, there are going to be ads coming out from Republicans and libertarians, and they're going to quote the Biden-Harris administration. They're going to quote and point out issue after issue after issue that the Democrats and progressives and Biden have failed the American people point blank. There is no denying it. It is a fact. They may not like the feeling, but it is a fact. And he knows starting Monday, they're going to have all these ads coming out showing how badly they have failed, how far they have allowed America to fall. And so to get ahead of that, he had his election rally tonight to try and shore up the base, to keep them strong, as evidence will be presented in every single state, in every single county, in every single race, from local to the federal, highlighting the absolute failures and the abject problems created by the progressive and Democrats. He knows this for a fact. And that's why what this was about. Because this is what they're trying to do. They have been searching since January 21st of 2021 for anything that they can call a win. And they have failed. They failed in Afghanistan. They failed in the Ukraine. They failed with our economy. They failed with energy. They failed with schools. They failed with the border. There is nothing. And and if anyone thinks I'm wrong, please, you can call into 607-242-1582. You can type in the comment on YouTube or Facebook, and you can tell me, Mike, here's the evidence of something that he got right. And I don't know of anything that you can point to that the Biden-Harris administration has done that has made America better. It's just not there. We just haven't done anything well under their leadership because it's a lack of leadership. In fact, that's why we see China has been getting, just today, Taiwan was coming out saying that China is looking to have military attacks, that they are going to take over Taiwan. That came out today. We have Iran that's saying, hey, you have to give us more stuff for the Iran nuclear deal, which will increase global terror, according to not just Israel, but Saudi Arabia. We have all of our allies saying that America doesn't have any leadership. And everyone in the world knows it. But most of all, today, September 1st of 2022, I am upset. And I've been saying it continuously throughout this entire thing for over an hour now. I've been saying, what about Afghanistan? What about the thousands of Americans that remain in Afghanistan and are abandoned? If Joe Biden doesn't care about them, what makes you think he cares about you? He's trying to buy votes. He has nothing that he's done that's a success. That's why he put out the college loans just in time for the election, because he wants to buy your votes cheap. That's why we have Democrats like Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania, who's looking to give out checks for $2,000 to help with inflation, an inflation check, so that they can buy your vote. They're trying to buy your votes as cheap as possible because they have nothing positive to offer you. There is no positive outlook. There is no positive impact. There is no positive plan. I'll make it real simple for you. We know for a fact that there is going to be 40% less food in the world starting in October. We know that for a fact. We already know food supplies in the world are already down. But we know that it's going to be 40% less food in the world starting in October. Name one plan from any Democrat across America that is addressing the potential food shortage. Yes, America won't be Sri Lanka, but there will be more food, or rather there will be less food available for Americans to buy and to feed their families, and it's going to cost more money. Name one Democrat that has a plan to address this. Because there isn't one. Not one. I've asked them. I've asked Josh Riley. I've asked Antonio Delgado. I've asked appointed Governor Kathy Hochul. I've asked Donna Lapardo and Jason Garnar in my community at the local, state, and federal level. I've asked them what's their plan. They don't have one. They don't have a plan. They just want your vote. And that's insulting. That's insulting to you. How can you say that being an America first, believing in America first as our first priority is anything but patriotic and a benefit to America? What, we want to have America last? We want to promote some other nation that we... It's so frustrating to me. We want to promote any other nation? Why would we want to promote any country, any place in the world before our home? That's America. Yeah, an America First policy is a great thing. He wants to tell us that being MAGA is bad. Hell, I'm ultra MAGA. Because making America great is not a bad thing for America. It's a damn good thing for America. And if you don't want to make America great, why the hell are you here? Where do you think you're going to go that's going to be better? There isn't a place. I don't know. So I'm going to keep going for about 10 minutes, go an hour and a half, because I think this was insulting. I think this was a bad speech. And I think that this was purely political. I think this had no benefit to the American people in any way, shape, or form. This was purely meant to help the Democrats who are up for election. That's it. This was about the 2022 midterm election. That's all this was. This was political pandering. And I believe it's an abuse of power that a sitting president, using the resources of the United States government, went out and decided to pander for votes, using the full power and weight of the White House and the United States government. That was a display of a waste of our tax dollar. And that helped to increase inflation. And it was useless. There was no benefit for that whatsoever. I understand if you're a Democrat and you say, well, Mike, I'd like to hear from, I want to hear some positive things for the Democratic Party. Great. Have some successful policies. This wasn't it. He didn't even mention a policy. He mentioned feelings. He didn't actually mention any policy. He didn't actually tell you anything that actually is better. If people actually pay attention to this speech, he did not identify anything that the Biden-Harris administration has done properly, anything that Congress that is held by Democrats in the House and in the Senate, anything that they have promoted that actually benefits the American people. He didn't mention a single thing. He just wants you to feel better. He wants you to feel like they're on the right track, which the overwhelming majority of Americans do not believe. He wanted to give you a feeling because he has no facts to actually offer you. And that's why it's called propaganda. Yeah, Hunter Biden, that's it. We believe in speaking in America. We should be able to share our voices, unless it's about Hunter Biden and unless it's about the evidence from the Biden family. Yeah, if you have evidence on the Biden family actually being corrupt, actually influencing Joe Biden and his position in the White House, breaking laws throughout America, if you have evidence of that, well, then no, we can't talk about that. Can't have those conversations. You can't talk about policies that the Democrats and Biden have pushed forward. How long did we have to go before we found out study after study after study came out, got discredited, we got threatened with being deleted before we found out and confirmed that, yeah, masks don't work. They're not effective. They were never effective. And we knew they were never effective because we had studies almost immediately that told us that doesn't work. It just was there to make you feel good. That's it. And to make sure that the government had control over your life. That's it. It wasn't about making you safe or making America better. It was about control. It's insulting. It's upsetting to hear him lie to the American people on so many levels, to hear him push propaganda on so many levels, to try and emotionally manipulate people on so many levels. And I understand that there are low information voters out there, people who only go by the headlines that think he's doing great until they go to the store until they see what's happening around the world. As tensions are getting higher, where we're seeing China get closer to attacking Taiwan, they're threatening South Korea, they're threatening Japan. North Korea is threatening Japan, threatening North Korea. Iran is preparing to have a push of global terror around the world, funded by the United States. Russia they're just continuing to do their thing. No one's paying attention. No one respects him. He lacks respect to the degree that Saudi Arabia would not take his phone call for 4 months, that he had to go begging to them. He had to fly over to Saudi Arabia and beg, and they still turned him down. That's how little respect he has. And I know there are Democrats and progressives who will say, Mike, that's just, I just don't like that. You don't have to like it. It's real, it's true, it's accurate, and it's backed up by documentation. You don't have to like it. Politics isn't about how you feel. No one cares if we're talking about policies for America and our nation, and no one cares how you feel. They care about what's effective. That should be the only thing that we ever should care about. We got 3 minutes. And I'm happy to hear comments. By the way, anyone, even if you're not seeing this live, maybe you've seen this after the fact. Fantastic. Great. Leave your comment. Leave your comments. I want to see. If you disagree, if you agree, leave your comment. Tell me what you're thinking. If there is an example that proves me wrong, I'd like to see it. If there is one that says that I'm right, I'd like to see that too. I want to hear what you have to say. And of course, on Sunday, when we do our live stream, we're going to be speaking directly to you to hear what you have to say, because you are important. And we do that every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we listen to you. We hear what you have to say about every issue that's affecting us across the world, because we do believe in free speech, because we do believe that you have a right to say whatever it is you think, because we believe in you as an individual, not a check mark, not some kind of a category, but as a human being. And no, I don't think that Joe Biden, the Democrats in Congress, Nancy Pelosi, Anna Presley, Cori Bush, I don't believe they believe in you. I know people like Patrice Cullors, the former founder and head of BLM. They don't respect you. They don't believe in you. They think that you're just someone that they could take your money. And they have, and they do. Sean King, they're there to take your money. Sean King took your money, your donations, for the progressives out there, for the people who said race relations is important to me. He took your money, $40,000, and bought a dog. Patrice Cullors took $66 million from you, saying race relations are bad, and instead of helping any black person in America, she bought 6 houses. Tell me that these people aren't taking advantage of you and Joe Biden is supporting them, not you. I don't know. I expected this to be a longer speech from Joe Biden. I expected something of substance from Joe Biden. And I obviously expected far, far too much from Joe Biden. This was a failure at every level. I do not believe Democrats were motivated to go out and vote. I don't think progressives were motivated to go out and vote. I know that libertarians, conservatives, and Republicans absolutely are not voting Democrat because of this. So he has failed in the purpose of this campaign speech. And I don't think anyone is any more confident in his ability to lead America. Not when the problems are eminent and obvious to every single one of us. But if you think Joe Biden did a great job, I look forward to hearing your comments on it. With that said, it's Thursday. It's now 9 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for taking the opportunity to watch this, whether you saw it live or you see it afterwards. I look forward to every single comment. And most of all, I'm looking forward to being able to see you on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you want to see more from the channel, we have lots of videos. And every Friday at 9 p.m., we are on the roundtable with the Liberty First Foundation. You can check that out as well. But until then, I thank you all, and I hope you're all going to have a